Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of Osoyoos Town Council, Monday, October the 7th, 2:00 p.m. in Council Chambers. The first item up would be the adoption of minutes from previous meetings from September the 16th, 2013. Any council input into those minutes, they will be adopted by consensus. Under item C, business arising from prior minutes. We have an item coming forward there, and it's coming from an in-camera meeting. So this would be motion in camera 120/13, moved by Councillor Plant and seconded by Councillor Ryan, and resolved that Council approves announcing to the public the provision of TELUS fiber optic services effective October the 7th, 2013. And that administration provides public information through the town website and e-news, and that it be stated that the town is working with TELUS to provide the fiber optic network service. So that has come forward as business arising, and in dealing with that business arising, there's a second part to that, and we have been doing a lot of back and forth talking with TELUS. And they are doing a major program in town involving fiber optic. In fact, it's involving fiber optic to the premise. So our planning department and town works department and anything that needs a permit, we have been working hard to keep ahead of the contractors in town. I'm sure you've seen the trucks that are placing an awful lot of cable around town. This would be the fiber optic. This is going to give Osoyoos a real legs-up position. This is going to enhance our business community. We're going to have very, very high-speed internet and be very, very competitive in the broadband world. There's also going to be a residential component in which the residents of Osoyoos are going to go into, I guess what I've heard about it is a new level of television. This fiber optic and fiber to the house, the television, the quality of the TV there is something that we truly haven't seen in this town before. So they are bringing this forward, and town council is quite excited about it, and we're proud to be on this project, which will benefit and strengthen the community. And I'm going to turn this over to council for a few comments from some of the councillors, please. Councillor Ryan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is good news, and we know that even here in our offices we've had problems with the reliability and the speed of internet, and I think especially our contribution has been to really expedite the permissions and all the approvals that are required from our development services department. So I hope that our rapid response to their needs will facilitate them getting this out to the customers throughout the community very quickly.
Anything else from council? Okay, that's fine. So again, that's just wrapping up where TELUS is going to go and the service that they're going to provide. And again, it's a welcome addition to both our residential folks and the business community at large. So looking forward to that being completed and done, and see where that takes us. On the agenda, we're up at delegations. And while we didn't have one, I would like to introduce a delegation that we had this morning, just as we'll get you on TV and just names and a little bit of information of what you were here for this morning, and then we'll bring that forward. Does that work, Val?
Yeah, we just need a mic. No.
How about right over here on this one here?
Yeah, they can. You want to? Yeah, it's better. It's better to be streaming now. I might lose something here. That'd be great. Perfect. That's good. It's on. Yeah, thanks. I would say you guys be close to the mic and.
just introduce yourself and maybe introduce your teacher and give us a little overview of what you told us this morning.
I'm Holly Dogood, and this is Mr. Bayless.
And I'm Sarah Lanier.
We are from Osoyoos Elementary School.
And we're here to discuss what we said this morning about We Day. It's an initiative for inspiring young and old children and teachers and all in between to
Get motivated to do stuff around their communities. And it has a lot of motivational speakers.
like last year I went and there was Desmond Tutu, Magic Johnson. Who else was there? There was a lot of Mark and Craig Kielberger, who are the founders of We Day.
And we asked if they could contribute some money for our
Fundraising for our trip.
Great. Thank you very much. And I think that has it pretty well, Mr. Bayless.
I think so.
Okay, so I think we'll deal with this right now because you fell under the delegation. And we, as a council this morning, we were looking at making a donation, and I really wanted to do it when the teacher, Mr. Bayless, and the students were here. But we had to get some more information on available funding. We are at the end of the budget year. And while we threw out a fairly big number this afternoon, or this morning, we're going to throw out a little bit of a smaller, more realistic number this afternoon. So, Councillor Ryan, did you want to do that, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, again, thanks to you, Mr. Bayless, and to Sarah, you and Holly, for coming and doing this a second time. So we really appreciated it, and I was very enthusiastic because I see the real possibilities of We Day and the things that you propose to do, as well as many of the things you've done already. But what we did was we looked at our grant program, and we realized that we had made a lot of grants because it starts in January usually, and we make them in the spring. But we did find $500 in there. And we think that that might cover some of the meals that you will have to have when you're on the road. And also, we obviously wish you a very happy and a successful conference, and know you'll be motivated from what we saw of your video. But we also want to encourage you to come to us earlier next year. In 1st of January, sometime in January, is when we ask people if they have needs coming up in the year, and we'd be happy to consider you very seriously next year as well. And also something else came up, and I think Mr. Romenko can tell us about that, about your transportation and what we might be able to do in the future.
Thanks, girls. This morning, one of the items that you identified as one of your costs was the transportation, and it was a fairly large number. I think it was $1,300. So one of the options that you may want to consider if you come to the town earlier is that the town does have quite a good community bus. It's a 20-passenger bus, and you may ask council to use this bus, and that may be part of a donation that would assist in cutting the cost related to the trip for next year. So just a hint for next year that that opportunity may be there to kind of bring some of your costs down.
Fantastic. Well, we thank council very much. We thank council very much for this contribution. It will definitely be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming forward, Sarah and Holly. Mr. Bayless, thanks for bringing the students to council. Always our pleasure.
Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Mayor, would you like a formal resolution to that effect? And I would move that we provide to Mr. Bayless and the students at the elementary school for We Day Social Responsibility Project $500 from our community funding budget. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, girls. And seconder, Councillor Rhodes. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. You got the money, girls. Thank you for coming forward. Kind of a little bit of a disjointed agenda today. Under water matters, there's nothing underwater this week. Under correspondence, report from the Okanagan Basin Water Board regarding the meetings. I think just a motion to receive on that. Councillor Rhodes McCordoff, all in favor, that's been done. And Interior Health, Healthy Communities Initiative, online survey results also for receipt. Councillor Ryan Plant, all in favor, that's been done. And British Columbia Achievement Foundation Awards invitation for nominations. Is there any council input onto that? We're not moving that forward. There's no inclination there. Okay, that'll just be also for receipt. Councillor Plant, Rhodes, all in favor, so done. The next item up is the Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw number 1302, report from Director of Financial Services, Mr. Zackel, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. I want to apologize, number one, to start off with. At our last regular council meeting, when a number of council members were at UBCM, Councillor McCordoff had asked, is there any changes to the Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw? And at that point in time, I had said no. So before council today is an amended Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw. What had to be changed was the property that Destination Osoyoos is now leasing from the town needed to be included in our Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw for the destination marketing portion of that. Okay. So that property has been added to the Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw. And what I've requested from council is to rescind third reading and reread it for a third time with that amendment in there. After this receives 3 readings, that's when I advertise in the Osoyoos Times and on the town's website and through e-news of the list of properties with the permissive amounts.
Okay, now and there wouldn't be a corresponding deletion from that list because it's still, that was the visitor information center?
That's correct. So the visitor information services is still tax exempt under the tourism aspect of that. Okay. The DO one is under tourism marketing. So different components, but just trying to ensure that we don't have a one-off and have a property that has to be dealt with under taxation.
Okay. So if we were looking at that option 2 to rescind and then amend to the changes presented and read for, so we just have to rescind the third and adopt the third.
No, rescind third reading and then reread the bylaw for a third time.
Okay. So motion to rescind, please. Councillor McCordoff, Rhodes. Any discussion? All in favor? That has been rescinded. And now to adopt the reading for the third time as amended.
That's correct.
Councillor Ryan, Rhodes. Any discussion? All in favor? That is done, Mr. Zackel.
And thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Next item up would be, we're heading into reports, which would be general and Sun Bowl cash requirements, general account in amount of $355,891.60. Sun Bowl accounts in the amount of $18,763.35. And payroll accounts for receipt in the amount of $64,976.81. Is there any comment on those? Hearing none, they would be adopted by consensus. And going to the building permit report for the month of September. Just have to give me 1 minute here. As I say, we've sort of been all over the place today. So there was nothing real substantial there. Some basements and a partly covered sun deck and a building drain and things like that. So the total amount for the month Total amount for the month is a paltry $33,000. Total to date for the year is $3 million, just over, and total to date for 2012 was $3.6 million. So we're still down half $500,000 from the previous year. Sure will be great when these numbers start to increase instead of decrease, and I hope that correction center in Oliver is going to be a part of the change in direction here. Next up is report from CAO. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Just a few of the activities that the administration has been involved in over the last couple of weeks. Starting in the Community Services Department, there's been an official notice the Splash Park is closed for the season, but they're still working on a few items to complete, including the fencing and washroom renovations. Next up is the Healthy Living Coalition Committee is organizing a public forum on October 17th to gather information on how to establish the goals of the coalition to achieve a healthier community. Community Services has provided over 80 units of the Tap by Taps water saving kits to Osoyoos residents. They may follow up with a similar project with the same organization for LED lights. Staff is in the process of organizing another spectacular Halloween howl at the Sonora Community Center. Corporate Services, applications have been completed for acquisition of lands adjacent to the landfill, so those will probably be coming to council or going to the province here very shortly. They prepared for and attended court on a MTI dispute. Also, in the process of updating the business plan, 2 license to use agreements have been reviewed and for renewal, and those will be coming to council probably next meeting. Unsightly property issues continue to be out there. They're dealing right now with 4 properties that seem to be a constant drain. So also 2 freedom of information requests. And in finance, they're busy paying the bills and also doing some early budget work. Planning and Development. Planning and Development said goodbye to Phil Armstrong, our planning technician, as he has taken a position in Golden. Work continues on the fire hall pre-design plans, and work also continues on the Gyro Beach landscape planning request for proposal. In Public Works, Cottonwood Drive is underway. The storm sewer portion should be completed this week, with lab standards being installed next week, with potential paving at the end of the month. White Sands, the retaining wall has been put in place. Next, the landfill septic cells and final cover project was to start October 2nd. Cell 1 at the lagoon will be pumped out of the sludge and hauled to the landfill septic fields. The aeration system will also undergo maintenance. This occurs every 5 years. Work will be done to rectify sidewalks and storm sewer on the main street adjacent to Pioneer Walkway washrooms. The Force Main project from Legion Beach to the lagoons is underway. Works on 89th and Cactus will be done first and hopefully paved prior to winter. The border lift station odor control system will arrive shortly and will be installed. We again have in the last couple of weeks experienced some issues with that particular area. So we've also been in contact with the U.S. border station, and it's been slowed by the fact that the people that we wanted to be in touch with were off for a few days. Willow Beach, the odor control problems there seem to have been diminished with some of the mitigating factors that were taken underway by there, and also the winterization of the irrigation system has started. In terms of myself, just a few of the things. We're having a major business planning meeting tomorrow with the directors. This will be the first go after I've met with council, and continue to work on the last year's resort municipality report, and have been doing some work with TELUS as well to get them through our processes, and fire hall planning continues. We've also, the impacted staff attended a webinar here in the office on paperless reporting for inspections and reporting, so that's something that we're looking at working into the budgeting process. And that would be my report for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Amanco. If it sounds like he's been busy, after this morning's Committee of the Whole meeting, we haven't seen anything yet. We just pretty well loaded him up into well into next year, I think. So with some major studies and things we want done in the town. So Mr. Amanco is going to be quite busy. First counselor up today would be Councillor Plante, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been up to a few things over the last little while. One of them was UBCM. But first I want to talk about something I just read, the H.W. McLean Construction Limited tournament, golf tournament. Now I know Mayor Wells attended that and played in that. Just received that they raised $8,400 at that event. And presented it to the South Okanagan Children's Charity. Those funds will go to the Sunshine Fund, which helps financially disadvantaged families with medical expenses with the BC Children's Hospital. So congratulations to them at first. I want to say they had over 70, almost 70 golfers at that as well. So congratulations to them. I just read that, so I wanted to get that out there. We also have the Harvest Dinner coming up on November, I believe it's the 2nd. And those tickets are $30, and they can be purchased at the Imperial Office Pro or PharmaSave, and the dollars will go towards the Children's Care Center, and with some also being raised for the Splash Park. And royalty, yes, correct. Thank you, Councillor McCordoff, for that. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about UBCM. I had a chance to go this year to Vancouver for the 2013 conference. Those were full days. Again, it was a ton of things going on, ton of networking, getting a chance to see some of the people, but the main one was to get in front of our ministers to talk about some of our specific concerns that we have. I kind of going to go through day by day. We got there on the Sunday, and I believe it was the Sunday, the Highway Coalition that I got a chance to go to with you. And I went to I'm not part of the Highway Coalition, that's Mayor Wells, but he gave me a chance to go and get a chance to sit as they did they were predetermining some of the talking points for when they met with the minister, because when you meet with these ministers, it's called speed dating. You have 15 minutes, most times you only have about 12-15 minutes, and you need to get your point across at that time, and it has to be on point, because you want to create impact with them as well. And so they got together and we're talking about some of the issues that the Highway 3 brings. The Highway 3 Coalition, to me, very impressed by this, because it starts at Hope and it goes all the way to the Alberta border. We have mayors and council representation on there that are talking about how we, because that's our corridor, that's our tourism corridor. How are we getting people, and how are we doing it in a safe way as far as transportation? So to listen to these guys and how they're united, it's a united front. I mean, there's people that are sitting on the Alberta border that are very concerned about the Hope, Princeton, Karamias area, and some of the issues with traffic and the highway conditions, and that they can go there as a united front and not have an individual itinerary for what their concerns are, but that they can go together and understand that working together and getting that highway done throughout the whole west to east, or east-west, west-east makes sense. So it was a privilege to actually sit in that meeting, and there are some exciting projects that have already been done, and that's what excites me even more, is that they are actually making steps at improving that highway, and they continue to do that, and that's because there's a united front of those towns that have got together on that. So that was, again, one of those privileges that I got a chance to sit on, something that I may not have got a chance to. So thank you for that, Mr. Wells. I was involved in many different things. I was the alternate for the Municipal Insurance Association. So they had a couple of pertinent issues that they were dealing with, and some stuff that they wanted to get passed, some resolutions. They were dealing with coverage expansion and additional coverage and property insurance, and all of those were endorsed And I can say that the Municipal Insurance Association is doing a very good job. And this AGM proved that it's again one of those pooling insurance that we use and that is very effective within governance. So it was a privilege to go to that as well. There's so many different things that we did, but again, going back to the ministers. So the first, we went to see Coralie Oakes. She's the Minister of Community, Sports, and Cultural Development. She is new, so she's newly appointed, which is great because then we get a chance to meet her, get a feel for her, and then also show our front, which was for the district municipality. And we went there with the town of Oliver to show a united front that we believe we need to look at fair structure, governance structure, and that we do have some concerns, and we'd like to see a district municipality structure looked at. And so it was great to see that, and it was also good to see the administration and staffing get involved within that conversation, and Coralie knows that we have a strong united front, and I look forward to continually trying to push that envelope to finding a proper and fair structure as far as governance. So that was one of those. And then we also met with the Interior Health, and again, I think we were the last one of that day. Again, we go through speed dating, so you got to imagine those guys are probably there at 7:30 in the morning, and we were last on the list, I believe, at 4:30, sometime in that. So they've had they've heard everything. And so, but it was good actually at that point. We had, again, we actually asked Oliver and Ron Havanis to sit with us in that. We thought that was a great way to invite them into our meeting, and again, to show that united front as far as hospic and trying to get some things done with Interior Health. And there's a money issue, obviously, that Interior Health is talking about and advancing some of this. But again, it's positive to let them know and to show that united front again, that we have concerns and that we'd like to work together with Interior Health and the government to improve those situations. There was, again, every day you have different types of trade shows, and as well as different types of meetings that you get to go to, and some clinics and such. So I took in a couple of different clinics, and one was on Rural BC's need to succeed and how we do that. And Rural BC project, to me, if you haven't heard about this, please check it out. They do have a website, but it's basically what they're trying to do is focus on direction and creating a rural BC strategy on how we deal with some of the issues that we have as small communities, and some of the things that we're losing, whether that's from cuts and how we deal with those and how we deal with those together. So they really was talking about the development and implications and implementation of a rural strategy. And so it was really great to hear that. And actually, I believe they even put in a resolution that got endorsed by the UBCM on supporting that as a whole. So it was really exciting to go to that and hear some of the things that happened. One of the other ones that I went to was on always about how do we engage our community and our citizens. And it was a packed house, because I remember I came in just a little bit late and standing in the back of the room with a muffin and a coffee in my hand at 7:30. That's how packed that place was. So I think it shows that there's an importance still to find ways to engage, to get people involved, and to hear people out, and the best ways to do that. So it had some humor, and it was really fun, and it gave us some great ideas, I think, on how we can move forward with some of our public engagement. Boy, I could go on and on with some of the great stuff that we ended up getting to see. I went to another one on conflict of interest on the Thursday. It was very interesting because there was they brought in lawyers that had just done a previous there was a previous settlement on nonprofit director being involved in council voting, and it was very interesting. And they went through some different scenarios that could happen within council, and the great thing is there's a lot of small communities in there that, you know, they're always thinking in the back of their heads and wondering, should they be there? What's the involvement? We all know small communities are basically made up of people that are sometimes on those committees or on a different nonprofit, and that's what a lot of times we're elected for, because we've done those things in the community. So it was very interesting to get their feedback and go through some scenarios as far as what was the legal part of conflict of interest. So, finally, again, it gives us a chance to network with many communities and see the positives that is going on out there. I'm not giving you a full on every day of what I did, but I would certainly love to sit down and talk to you about what went on there, the things that we did. I've kind of get it written down, but I've lost it on this computer, so I'm kind of all over the place right now. But the other thing that we did was, obviously, there was pretty close to 200 resolutions that went through as far as passed or being endorsed by UBCM, and our B107, Goose Population Control. Therefore, be it resolved that the province encourages the Canadian Wildlife Service to be more permissive in the issuance of kill permits, and failing an agreement to do so by the Canadian Wildlife Service, that the province take the initiative to provide kill permits to affected local governments for goose population reduction. Now, this was endorsed by the Southern Interior Local Government Association and was also endorsed by the UBCM. So there you go. We got one in there and it was endorsed. It was an interesting one because, again, through even the time that we got endorsed by SELGA to going there, we've come up with some great plans with the wildlife and had a lot of discussions, and we've put ourselves in a good situation. But it was great to see, and the conversation through some of the resolutions that we had on GMO, on elections going to 4-year instead of 3-year terms, funding for elections was really a great one, because it was really based on the Vancouver Council getting up and arguing with one another. It was very interesting to talk about some of the dollars that are being spent on elections and putting a limit on that. Instead of $1 per vote, it should be a person per vote. So with that, I'll pass it on, and thank you very much. But again, feel free to contact me anytime, talk about all these great things that we did at UBCM. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Plante. I'd say those sounded like very well-spent dollars for the town of Osillia, sending you as a delegate to the UBCM. That was a great report back on it. Councillor Rhodes, next, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I too would like to congratulate and thank Herb Wycherley and Len McLean from HW McLean Construction for putting together that tournament, and the money that came out of that's going to this cause is just so great, and so thanks very much. And one of the most amazing things that I found out about it just shortly after the tournament was the short period of time that it took to organize it. They just kind of put it together, and at the end of the day, when you think all of the volunteer stuff has all been used up and everybody's exhausted for the year and that kind of thing, you get this company stepping forward and doing this wonderful thing in our community. So thank you very much. In addition to that, I got a lot of thank yous today, but I'll keep it pretty short. We have been attending the UBCM over the last few years as a full council and mayor, and you get a lot of stuff that happens at UBCM, and I think myself personally, I decided not to attend this year because I've already been to a few of them, and I find the cost so prohibitive of going there. And I'm so glad that Councillor Plante and Mayor Wells went to this thing, because the enthusiasm and the information that they bring back is so great to hear that. It was one of my big concerns about not going and not knowing anything about it. So the information, I think this is about our second or third session that we've had. I know Mayor Wells gave us a briefing a couple of weeks ago, and you know, just so good. And I'm glad it worked out this way, where we're getting all of the benefit from it, and we've certainly cut our costs down an awful lot about going to it. I would also like to apologize to Water Councillor Morera for my little stumble at the last meeting and forgetting his name. But you know, sometimes when you sit in the mayor's chair, it's pretty big shoes to fill there. And I know I'm just looking around the room, and I don't know why I drew a blank, but I did. But my apologies to him. I intended no disrespect at all for that. So, and that'll be my report for today. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Rhodes. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I just want to follow up on this whole theme of volunteers. I was able to attend, along with Councillor McCortoff and the Mayor, the Senior Center Volunteer Appreciation on Saturday. And it was interesting to see how many people were there. And this is just one organization, of course. And they've been going for many years now. And many of the faces keep reappearing in different positions and so on. But anyway, it was wonderful. And I want to not only congratulate them, I think, did they say 40 years? Was it 40 years for them? I forget. Anyway, quite a few.
Yes,
I wasn't sure if there was something mentioned there. But one of the things that they have actually, to their credit, over the last couple of years was to be the place where the Better at Home got started. They sponsored a pilot of that, and it has now outgrown the senior center, and it's become part of the Sun counseling programs. So, you know, to their credit, they were the incubator for that wonderful program to keep seniors in their homes, to provide them with all sorts of support services that they need, particularly transportation and other in-home services. So that was really, it was nice to be a part of that, and to and the mayor very well extended our appreciation and congratulations to them. I am sitting on the board on behalf of the town of Destination Osoyoos, and so we have regular meetings, and we'll be having a special general meeting tomorrow, because the nature of that organization is changing. They are going to be broadening their scope, and so they are having a special meeting to approve some new bylaws. So that's something that has been a fairly regular group meeting at least once a month, if not more often. On this past weekend, I want to extend a happy birthday to Tony Zelko. Tony became 89 on the weekend, and you'd never know it. He's probably one of the more active people in town, one of the Osoyoos pioneers, and looking great at 89. So congratulations to him. And this week on Thursday at 7 o'clock, anyone who wants to find out more about the prison that's going to be built in the just north of Oliver can find out at 7 o'clock on Thursday at the Sonora Center. I don't know if they'll be telling you how to get in, but they will certainly tell you how to get a job there. And a happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope you enjoy the family and relatives on this weekend, and drive safely wherever you are.
Thanks, Councillor Ryan. And finally, Councillor McCordoff.
Thank you.
Ladies are sometimes at the back of the line.
Yes, that's true. I as well attended the seniors lunch, and I thought it was a very nice event to go to. Not only does the senior center have started Cassie down there, but they also play a key role in the wintertime for our snowbirds that come here rather than go south. And several of the of our local citizens head south to get some warmth, and those from the prairies feel that this is warm enough, and they come over here and they take part in great numbers at the senior center. So thank you to all the seniors who make that available for them, and I know that's part of the reason that they come here. I was also at a meeting last week of the new music festival that is going to be taking place next year. I think that it was more of a committee meeting, and Shirley Baker and I sort of stormed the meeting because we knew it had to do with Cherry Fiesta. So the dates of the new music festival will be, I believe, they've changed it a few times, but I think it's now June 27th until July the 5th. So it encompasses Cherry Fiesta right in the middle. I think they felt that there would be a lot of people here in town at that time, and that might be the best time to include this music festival. Arts festival as well, I think. I think they're doing a great job. There's a lot of people in this town, volunteers, of course. How do we ever get along without them? And I think that they will come up with a really interesting program, and I think we'll look forward to hearing more about that. The other thing that I did for 2 weeks ago, I had a little holiday, and I went down to New Mexico for 12 days. There were 21 ladies. It was called the Getaway Gals, and it was organized by Deb at Lakeside Travel. 15 of the ladies were from Osoyoos, and then there were 6 others that were sort of friends that were dying to get involved with this as well. We had a terrific time. Of course, New Mexico colors, Santa Fe colors, are prevalent in our town as well. So Joanne Hebig and I, who's a interior designer, were going around taking pictures of various places down there, Adobe and Pueblos and so on. And while we started off at 5,000 feet at Albuquerque and went up to 6,000 at Santa Fe and 7,000 at Taos, it didn't take us long to get into the habit of visiting the stores, and I must say that their economic development was got a real boost from all of us there. One of the places that we went was Taos, which is a very artsy community, and it's considered the Taos Pueblo. Pueblo is a permanent buildings made of adobe, considered to be the oldest continuously inhabited community in the United States. And there are some buildings there made out of adobe that have been there for 1,000 years. So it was most interesting. The entire state is a very, very interesting place. But I did bring back something for Councillor Ryan and Councillor Rhodes. It's called Earthship. It was a little community that we visited outside of Taos, building with natural and recycled materials, thermal, solar heating and cooling, water harvesting, contained sewage treatment, solar and wind electricity, and food production. And we did go in one of the houses there. To build one of these houses would probably cost you almost as much as a conventional house, you know, $350,000, that type of thing. But this one that they have on here said $100 per year total annual utility bill. So they're quite sustainable, and it was a very interesting place to visit. At the end of our, when most of the crew came back to Osoyoos, another girl and I rented a car and spent 4 more days and went down to Carlsbad Caverns. Fascinating place, 750 feet below ground to tour around the caves and the caverns. It's very well done. And we were very happy to return to Osoyoos on September the 30th, because I believe the next day the American government shut a lot of those things down, so we wouldn't have seen them. Anyway, I was happy to be home, but it's a wonderful place, and you would feel right at home because the colors and the buildings look very similar to Osoyoos. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McCordoff. And I've had a very, very busy period here. I'm just going to really blitz through that UBCM. There was 1,994 delegates put out a piece of paper, a newspaper like this every morning on what happened the day before and what got covered at the convention floor and things like that. So I got about 3 or 4 of those. And I took in, besides what Councillor Plant did, there was the Mayor's Caucus. And that was on that first day. It was all Monday afternoon to the point that I was going to attend that council meeting remotely, as Councillor Plant was. We were actually too busy there and actually didn't attend the meeting on a conference call because we thought we were at better use at the conference there. Also, Councillor Plant and Mr. Romanko went to the resort municipality meeting. I was at the Mayor's Caucus at that time. That's just the way they happen. And that's a very, very big must for us to stay very, very close to that resort municipality and the funding that it entails, and particularly when you consider there's only 14 communities that are invited into it. So we're very, very fortunate there. There was after they, usually around 5 or 6 o'clock at night, there was some receptions that you went and sort of walked around through these big halls with a little bit of food and a little bit of wine in that. Of interest, the ones that I was at, I think everyone but one of them was all a cash bar, which was sort of new from like the provincial government, their big welcoming one. It was all pay for all the alcohol that you drank. Which is a good thing, particularly when they're, when they have their new impaired driving rules and things like that, and different numbers out there. So it really was quite different than it has been in the past. It was good going to some of the events with Oliver when we went to Interior Health, and we were looking at at hospice. Linda Larson, our MLA, was with us. We went there and made a pitch, and I think government likes to see people that have a collaborative approach and are partnering with people. And again, I'm not sure which night it was, but on one of the nights there was an Enbridge reception at 8 o'clock at night, and I would love to have gone to the Enbridge reception and see what they were plying the political delegates with. But it started at 8 o'clock. I was in bed by 8:30, so didn't even go up the hill for that one. Although did go to one for the Consul of the Republic of China, and that was very, very interesting. And the Consulate General, I guess, was there and did a really neat presentation, and that was really worthwhile. The morning ones at 7:30. Very demanding, as Councillor Plant said. You're sort of on your feet and awake and trying to get the world in order at 7:30 in the morning. And there was one that was really good, and it was about rural British Columbia. And I got so excited I have to continue with it and make sure I get there. But Castlegar has got this sculpture walk, and they sort of started from nothing, and they've got 46 pieces of sculpture around the town, and they're just knockout. And so they did a presentation, and they trade with other communities. I'll ship you my bucking horse if you ship me, your space tower or something like that. And so these things are in a state of flux. It's a real neat tourist draw. So I'm hoping that maybe next spring sometime when it gets warm, that we could get a unveiled shuttle bus from Councillor Plant and go over to Castlegar and have a look at this walk. People that have been there say it's just fantastic, and they're from all there. Now they're going to start partnering up with Sydney on the island, and just the concept to have these great pieces of art. And when you look at our one at the fountain out here, the musical cattails, for lack of a better word, that would be something that there would be a lot of there. And they have some money set aside, and when you get an artist willing to exhibit, and it's a people's choice that gets, they agree to sell them for $15,000. Some of them are worth $60,000, $70,000 on the marketplace. They agree to sell them, and there's actually a people's choice, and that's the one that they buy for the $15,000. So I just thought that whole concept was very different and really neat. The other one that I attended was the RCMP contract, and I know that in the province of British Columbia, we all know that we signed on, but what we signed on to is unknown. So there's both from the RCMP and from the Attorney General's office, and from the towns and councils of the cities, there's a group that's hammering out the contract. and the actual wording and how it's going to work. And they've been at it for a long time, and it would appear that they're a long way from getting it done. And like Diane Watts, the mayor of Surrey, she sits on that committee, and they're the biggest RCMP contractor in the province of BC, is the city of Surrey. So they were going through it, and boy, there's some big questions out there. There's the amount of RCMP that are on leave, you know, through maternity and paternity and illnesses and things like that, and that's just a part of doing business, I'm sure. But there's a large unfunded pension liability, and so now this becomes 3 levels. This is the feds, the municipalities, and of course the RCMP, and the federal government isn't stepping forward to pick this up, and it's a huge unfunded liability for all those RCMP officers that have retired or you know, pending retirement. So I don't know what to say other than they certainly were concerned at the workshop and where it was going to go and what it was going to look like. There was a marketplace of a couple hundred vendors in there, everything that a town needs or doesn't need, and I managed to go through the whole 200 vendors and not pick up one item, so I was pretty happy. Some good things. Stephen Lewis was there, and a lot of times I have a hard time with Stephen Lewis because he can be very depressing about the world situations, and in this case I actually quite enjoyed him. He didn't really become gleeful, but he did manage to mix it up a little bit with a good sense of humor and really seemed to carry the audience. Other than that, I'll move on from that. The Governor General was at Culmina Winery in Oliver last Sunday, went to that. His Excellency David Johnston, that was just an hour and a half little outing. That was good. Monday, I went to the Osoyoos Energy Diet, the Okanagan Energy Diet by Fortis. I couldn't say it was well attended, but at that at the little meeting, I did sign up. So, and I think they started with about 23, and I think there was about 28 by the time I left. So we'll be into the 30-somethings, and the town did kick in a small $10 per signee into that. Okanagan Basin Water Board, of interest there besides what we receive for information purposes. Really trying to work with everybody and anybody on the blue-green algae issue and who's going to handle it, whose responsibility. As I know I've said here after we had the scare at Solana Bay, and then you get the email, is it okay? And who's going to give the okay, and whose responsibility is it, and who's paying for the testing, and that responsibility of is it okay, that's huge. That's huge. So through the Okanagan Basin and councils and hopefully Interior Health, we can hammer this around and come up with a protocol, because we're definitely going to have more blue-green algae, and it can be lethal. It's lethal to pets already, and if you drank enough of it, it'd probably be lethal to humans. So that was interesting. On the Wednesday, had the Southern Interior Development Initiative Trust. They had a little strategic planning session at Walnut Beach. Nice to see them come to town. They put it out there, and I sort of said, "Oh, we'd like these people in town." There was 15 people, 15 rooms, 15 dinners. That was pretty good. And we had a outside facilitator come and hammered through a short time frame strategic plan. It was tough, but we managed to get through it. RDOS on Thursday, World Paddle Proclamation on Friday. I guess that just leaves one comment. I think it's really important for everybody to go to the corrections presentation. We've got the 5 top correction people in BC, 5 of them, and they're going to be there both to present what it's going to look like. They've got some really good numbers for people that have some concerns. They have just some numbers that I find very interesting. They're going to talk about the job availability, how to go about it, how they're targeting that, and how you don't need a university degree to work there, how you can get there, how they're going to offer some courses through OK College. And there's a lot of things happening that is going to mean that there are going to be jobs available for local folks here. And that's just so darn important. You know, they can build it and everything else, but if we're not getting the jobs out of it, then that doesn't work for us. So go to this meeting. It's the 10th, which I believe is Thursday, 7 o'clock, Sonora. Do go, do ask the questions. I think it's just a great opportunity for the town of Vesuvius folks to go and pick up that information. I'm finally done. Thanks a lot. Looking for a motion to adjourn from Councillor Ryan Plant. All in favor? We're adjourned. Good sunny afternoon finally, folks, after the rain cloud.
It was pouring a few minutes ago. It was pouring, and it has. Isn't that amazing? It's sunny.
It's sunny.
It's lovely.
That's good.
Oh!
Yeah, oh, right.
Isn't that funny? I was thinking exactly the same.
Were you?
I was looking at her pictures.